Hey everyone, so someone mentioned in a comment that I should just make a video showing the mounts that need to be replaced and looked at because, well, one of the tenets of autism is that like things that may seem obvious are just not obvious to me. And one thing is I never even thought about the fact that people don't know how to check for this stuff. It's like a Dunning-Kruger effect kind of thing. So that said, I'm going to show you whatever I can think of in this video in linear order and try to be as concise as possible so you're not wasting an hour of your life. Starting with one. Your hood in service position, okay? How this works is you remove your hood strut from here. This is the hood strut now, right there, okay? You remove that and you put it into that hole, right there, in case you can see it. And then the hood strut goes up here and connects in this hole right here. Make sure you lock it so it doesn't go forward and back, and voila, you have it in service position. Now you can more easily see inside the engine. You can also work inside the engine too. Now, okay, I'm trying to do this as best I can, but that right there that I'm pointing at, that right there, that's your engine mount. You can see right there. That's where the bracket that connects to the block, that metal thing, this thing is the bracket that connects to the block. This is the actual mount that connects to the chassis. Okay, you have two of them. This is a Hossport billet mount with 62A street bushings. It's hardened rubber. It vibrates a lot more than stock, but random tidbit, my second gear used to always pop out of the, if I was like redlining and like at like 7K or 6K and I wasn't on throttle or brake, and this fixed it. So if you're having that issue, you could try going to a stiffer mount. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but that I would assume was the last thing that fixed it. Two, so look at those. If you see these and they look old, like original, like rubber, okay, if you see one, they're both old. You just have to look at one. Then you need to replace it. If they've been replaced, you can tell they look fresh. If they look old, you'll know they're old. Second, okay, we're going to lower suspension. Okay, the front and rear. Look, if one of them's messed up, you can assume that most of them are messed up, so I'm gonna try to do this as best I can. Okay, now, these are your bushings for your suspension. This one is your lower control arm bushing. As you can see on mine, it is, I'm trying to get it because it's very hard for me to see, but if you look, you can see mine is cracked, okay? And that is where the suspension damper connects to the lower control arm. Now, if that is cracked, very likely the rest of your bushings are cracked, including this one, okay? This is the lower control arm bushing, and then you also have ball joints, like this ball joint. Wait, where is it? Yeah, that ball joint, right? So that has to be replaced. You also have your upper ball joints. I don't know if I'm pointing at the right thing. I can't really see. The bumper's blocking, but you have your upper ball joints and your upper bushings, and it's a wishbone, so there's two, one on this side and one on that side. So those need to be replaced. The rear is the same thing. It's a double wishbone front and rear, so it's the same thing. It's just, so that's something you should do. Also, these bushings, these are your anti-roll bar bushings, okay? These wear out. You need to replace these as well, okay? So this is the next one. This is also one to replace. Make sure you change your struts. If you get Öhlins and you live in a hot climate, get the external reservoir. I have cooked my dampers, canyoning in my wife for like an hour, and it just feels like it's on full soft. So if you don't drive that much, you don't need it. Fucking awesome dampers, by the way. Awesome dampers. Okay, now we got to do the hardest one to see, which is the diff. Okay, I'm gonna try to do this as best I can because I can't see very well what the camera's pointing at. I just have to lay on the floor. Okay, so now we're looking at the diff. Okay, you can see my diff mounts. This is my Hossport diff mount. I have a Hossport diff mount, and then there are two mounts in front of the diff. You have to go underneath the car to see them. It's by the what's it called? catalytic converter, okay? So these have to be replaced as well. Okay, these are your diff mounts. Your transmission mount is under the transmission. I can't show it to you. That's another thing to look for. Also, your rear anti-roll bar bushings, or I don't know if you can see it, but it should be like over here. Okay, you need to replace those as well, because then your car will flex more. I haven't done these or my control arm bushings, so that's that. And then there was one thing. Oh, your clutch. How to tell if your clutch is going bad? Easy, easy. Go to your clutch, okay? Your clutch should be easy, soft. I could push it with one finger. Well, one finger is an exaggeration, but I could push it with 2 fingers. Just push. That's it. Super easy. It's really easy. Like, it's kind of heavy, but I can push it, okay? If it is heavier than finger press, like if it takes more effort than pushing with your fingers, okay, your clutch is going bad. Now, what does this mean? Okay, imagine that this is, sorry, my car's interior is going to be the background. So imagine that this is your drive line, right? This is your, the mirror is your engine with the crankshaft, right? Goes to the transmission, goes to the drivetrain and the diff, right? If your engine mounts are broken, your engine can now bounce up and down because they split in the middle. It can also go side to side, okay? And so the only thing really holding it is the transmission, which is still bolted to the car, but these mounts let it go like this. The back is also still bolted. It'll wiggle, but what ends up happening is the back is held, right? The front is held, and now just this part bounces, okay? And so what that does is puts flex on the driveline, right? Like I'm trying to show you. But this is just bouncing, right? And then this follows. So that's what's happening, okay? And it puts excessive wear on your transmission, and this will put wear on your guide bearing sleeve, which will in turn affect your crankshaft, like your rod bearings. I can't speak for anything else but the rod bearings, but the clearance tolerance is 0.14 to 0.40 millimeters for your rod bearing clearance. So that's what, so that's that. Also, check your radiator. If you can open your radiator, look inside its original, and you see rusting, I would replace it. Koya Red is awesome. Use the stock shrouds, which is amazing. Stock intake, keep the stock intakes. Reason being, if you look at the stock intake, this thing has laminar flow all the way through as designed by Honda, okay? So, and I'll show you what that means. That means that when I take this off, as soon as air comes up through here, it's sucked in through the intake, and it sticks like downforce, like an under, like ground effects, right? It sticks, laminar flow, it sticks to the surface, and it goes through this tunnel, okay? And then it literally is just poured onto the intake. You see how the intake, I don't know if you can kind of see it. Ow, that was hot. I just burned my wrist. See how that just pours air onto the intake cone, okay? And it's blocked off to prevent any areas of low pressure. This is the only area of low pressure that builds up between the intake there before it gets to the intake manifold. But yeah, and throttle body. But yeah, man, keep your stock intake. It really is the most efficient system. I researched aerodynamics. I'm not smart enough to understand that. So God bless mechanical engineers and whatever engineers who do that stuff. Y'all are wizards. I tried. Yeah. What else? Your brake booster. The firewall will flex under hard braking. LHT as shown in the video. Get this, mount it, pushes against the brake booster, and that'll stop that from happening. And I think that's pretty much it. If I think of anything else, I'll make a video, but I hope that covers pretty much everything. Yeah, have a good one.